Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Mind Your Business show. I am your host, Milt Walker, joined today with Mr. Tony Calloway, the Private Money Godfather. How are you today, sir?
Maestro, man, I am doing great. It is I don't know if you say Independence Day Eve or how we
Right.
would caption it, but it's the day before we celebrate the independence of the United States. Of course, what was it? Was it a couple of weeks ago we celebrated Juneteenth,
Right.
our
Right.
independence.
Right. Right.
So I guess it is indeed the independence for all at this point and everything. But hey, man, I'm doing great. And thank you for getting us on the air. And I want to thank all of our viewers for making the Mind Your Business show an important part of your Saturday, an important part of your life. So hope that you have a wonderful and great and safe July 4th weekend planned. So Maestro, what have you got on the agenda for your 4th of July?
I'm just gonna be relaxing. Really, I'm just gonna be. I want to try to take some time out, reconnect with nature. Probably spend some time with my family, with my folks, as they say. Down here in the South. And so yeah, that's pretty much what it's gonna be about for me.
Yeah, got family who's going to be coming, just immediate family, and probably cook out and, like you said, nature. Of course, I'm one of these weird people that likes to go walking in the heat of the sun. It's supposed to be hot and good weather. So for wherever you guys are as you watch this, if you're watching it now live or sometime for the weekend is out. I hope that you have great weather and that you're able to enjoy a wonderful family time, the celebration of the independence of the United States. Now, Maestro, it's just you and I and our guest today. And certainly want to encourage everybody to not only tune in to us on Facebook, like, follow, and share, but please make it your business today to tell 3 people to go on YouTube to the Private Money Godfather channel and subscribe, because we definitely want to make sure that we're able to share our content on YouTube where it's searchable and get all this good stuff out to everybody. So we want to enlist you in helping with that. We have a number of good, exciting things coming over the horizon. And I want to kind of start marching toward those things with our conversation today. And today's show might be kind of short. We're not going to belabor the point, but we do want to engage all of you who are viewing in giving us your input. And we want to address that because our topic today is what stops you from starting? What stops you from starting? Now, Maestro, on a daily basis, I would say I talk to 5 to 7 entrepreneurs who have dreams. And our motto here for the Private Money Syndicate is powering dreams with private money and more, because we have a lot of other resources that we're able to connect our clients with. And it's interesting to think how many people I know who I've not talked to, just from being an educator, being in business and social environments. People are talking about their dreams and goals and ambitions, and how many I know have been talking the talk for decades, some of them, and not made that move toward what they envision, what they desire for their lives. So, do you come across that same thing?
I do. And typically it's when I'm talking with fellow entrepreneurs and people who are thinking about becoming entrepreneurs, because one of the things that I do is mentoring, and so and it's usually in the technology space is where I kind of hover in, but typically it's the same thing that I always hear. They're not sure what they should do. They're not sure what type of resources are available to them. And it's always, it seems, and what I always tell them is this. You're never gonna know until you put yourself out there and go for it, right? You gotta put your feet on the ground and walk the path, because sometimes things just kind of unfold as you're, like you were saying, you like to go out into nature and and walk in the sun. Sometimes you got to walk in that illuminated path to really just be able to see what's in front of you. And so
Yeah.
um you
Yeah.
know yeah.
And with that, that touches, or actually you just said it. I want to say it in different words. I came up with 6 reasons why people don't get started. So the question is, what stops you from starting. And now, if you're a guest, or excuse me, not a guest, if you're in the audience and you are in that position, I'd like for you to share with us, because maybe we can provide some solutions. And if you want to feed into that conversation in the chat, the maestro will be more than happy to share your thoughts in terms of helping people to get started, because that is I said, a journey of 1,000 miles begins with the first step. And so we want to get people started because we're in the second half of the year. This is independence. So I want to give people independence of thought, independence of action. And ultimately, the nation's Declaration of Independence was the birth of a country that has basically changed the world. And so, from the standpoint, I believe that we're able to unleash all this energy, all these desires, all these dreams into the universe. Just imagine, Milt. Just imagine, what could the next 6 months, the next year, the next, people's lifetimes, and the lifetimes of many others who they are able to touch with them bringing their business to light. I mean, don't you think those things will make a huge difference, not only for the individuals, but also for the people whose lives are touched by them?
Absolutely. That's a beautiful vision. Beautiful vision.
Yeah.
It's something, yeah, definitely worth working towards.
Yeah. So the thing that Maestro mentioned was lack of clarity. So that's number one, lack of clarity. Being clear about how to go about what it is, because think about this, folks. We think in pictures. We don't think words. I mean, when I say, like I was enjoying this, is
Visions, right?
not.
Visions.
I'm not paid by Coca-Cola to endorse their product, but from the standpoint, when I think I want a Coca-Cola, I want a Coke, I don't think the word Coke. I see a red can or what have you, and that's we think in pictures. But now, when it comes to bringing those pictures into reality, when it comes to lack of clarity, is somewhere a combination of where do I begin, and is this, you've talked to people who want to do like 10 different things. All right, so sometimes it's what do I want to do first, and if it's one thing, it's all right, what do I do first to make that one thing happen? So now, lack of clarity, I think, is probably one of the biggest ones. These aren't in order, but I have found myself in that situation, and maybe you have too. But if there's anybody who has a strategy that you use to help get clarity for yourself, I would like for you guys to share that in the chat. We want to make this interactive today. But now let me give you what Tony Calloway does, and I tell people, and Maestro, you've heard me say it. My gift, my superpower is focus. Now, at the expense of, I am way not a multitasker. I can only do, I say I can screw up a whole bunch of stuff at one time, but I can't do one thing right at a time. So for me, clarity is writing things down and making a list, because once I'm seeing, like I have a notebook. Matter of fact, where is it? Here it is. Let me reach for it. I have my things to do. I know the glare is kind of killing where you guys can't see. There we go. The things to do. I mean, this is like the 1,000 notebook I have, and every day I write down the stuff I have to do. So, and I line it off. But all those things are working toward a path, because every day I write, not every day, I'm going to be honest, I'll say 4 to 5 times a week, I write my 10 goals down, and I knocked one off 2 weeks ago. And so I keep it in front of me so that I'm clear as to what I want to do. And when something new comes onto the radar screen that I think I want to do, I put it on the project list. All right, here's something, because I can't do everything at one time. So, okay, I'm working on these things. I might add it to the goals, because now I got one down. I might throw it, but then it makes me really think, do I want to do it? Do I not want to do it? Those kind of things. So for clarity, those are some tactics, and I'm sure there are others. So Maestro, I want to ask you if you have any you want to share real quick, and then we can acknowledge any of our guests who come on if they've shared any thoughts about that or anything else.
Yeah. So, with me, and I totally agree with what you're saying. And I like to say visualization, right? We visualize what we want before we write it down, before we speak it. So those thoughts form in that way. And as you said, it's a picture. It's a vivid picture of what it is that you desire, and that's what kind of frames, and that's where you are able to describe what it is that you want, right? And put it down on paper and put it down in words. But yes, mine is to become a multi-billion-dollar technology company and to provide community services that help economically empower disadvantaged communities by introducing new technology, new knowledge into those ecosystems whereby they can economically empower themselves. So that's my vision. And you know, it all started, as I always tell people, it all started with me and my own community being
Right.
the local IT guy that everybody called on, and I would just do it for free because I just love to help people and I love technology. So that's where it all spawned from, and then that vision came to me in those years. But yes, so we got a lot of people chiming in. We got Marlon Davis saying good morning, gentlemen. Bobby Jean Ford is joining us again. Says good morning, everyone.
Top fan from Roberta, Georgia.
Uh, Charles Boyd is joining us again. Says good morning, fellows.
Morning,
God bless and enjoy your weekend. God bless you too, brother. Ebony is joining us. Says good morning, everyone. Peace, love, light, Ebony. And Darnell Collins is joining us and saying, "What's up, my brothers? What's up, brother?
hey, what's going on,
All
Darnell?
love, all love." Cordelia Maupin
Oh,
says, "Good
that
God morning." I
that
love
is
that.
my classmate. She just had,
Okay.
well, she might not want to say the age, but she just had a birthday up there in Atlanta. She came down from DC,
Happy
so and
birthday.
now she is a super achiever. I'm proud of
Yeah, happy birthday. She said, "Good God morning." Yes, that's right. Um, and Edwin Whitten is joining us. He says, "Good morning." Uh, Charles Bowie says, "I started my journey last year in creating a company in real estate. It's a process, and I'm thankful for the journey." Absolutely, absolutely.
her.
Gotta
Amen.
enjoy the journey. That's what it's all about. You enjoy the journey, you know.
Exactly. And if and there may be others, but we can pick those up. But Charles, you know, the fact that you said that keyword, you started. And our topic today, for those who didn't see the promo and are just tuning in, we thank you for your time. Thank you for your attention. And we want to hear from you. The topic today is what stops you from starting. And now, obviously, you know, and most of us are well along the path in life. We started certain things, but what I want you to focus in on is something that is a heart's desire, okay? A deep rooted ambition that you have for your life that you haven't indulged in or that you haven't started pursuing. It doesn't have to be a business endeavor. It could be, you know, world travel or, you know, whatever, you know. But the key thing is, and because we all have these corners and that we know are speaking to us saying, do this, or what have you. But it's what stops you from starting. So the first thing that we've talked about is lack of clarity. And the lack of clarity, as I said, could be that you have multiple things you want to do and you're trying to pick one. And there's more the case for people like me is that, okay, I know what I want to do. Like, what do I need to do first? And it's like, how do I establish a sequence? Now, the second one is a lot of things, a lot of times people get stopped at feeling they don't have all the things that they need to start or a lack of resources. You know, they examine the situation and say what they don't have as an impediment to initiating action. Because that old saying that a journey of 1,000 miles begins with the first step. And so my comment to anyone who feels that they are and any project lacks resources at the beginning, every single one, that is just a ubiquitous fact. Okay. When you start with an idea, that's all you got, you know. And that's why we say at the Private Money Syndicate, you know, go to privatemoneysyndicate.com, schedule a consultation and tell us your dream. When you start, that's all you have until you summons other things into your realm of reality to be able to put them into this effort. Now, some of those things you may already have your hands on, like maybe money in the bank or connections and things, but other things you don't. But the fact is, until you had the idea, the fact that you had those other things as it relates to that did not even matter because they were not spoken into any possibility of reality. So when it comes to lack of resources, the first thing is the first step should be make a list of everything. If you're gonna bake a cake, now I can't cook, but if you're gonna bake a cake, you're gonna make a list of, there's a recipe that has all the ingredients, right? No.
Right.
Okay. If you're going to build a doghouse, You sit down and when I go to Home Depot or Lowe's, what all materials do I need to get? What tools do I need to have? All right, so everything that is going to go from idea into reality is going to require material inputs. And what I'm saying is the first step is to make a list of everything you need. Don't start thinking what you don't have. See, that's negative thinking. Just think of what all is it going to take to make this happen, and then go back and check off what you have. And then the intelligent part of your brain will start saying, now that I want this to happen, see, this is where you have to fight off the desire or the inclination to just let the desire die because of what you don't have. Think, how do I get this other stuff? My thing is, who do I know who has this other stuff? Back in the old days, folks used to go borrow a cup of sugar or some milk. Who else has it that I can gain access to it because I have the relationship with them? I might have to buy it. I might have to qualify for financing, which is where the private money syndicate comes into play. But that doesn't mean that it can't be fulfilled. Might need to raise capital by having a crowdfunding or bring on partners. I mean, I could tell y'all stories of people who have gotten funding to start businesses in real estate where we help to combine them with other people that had what they needed. That's basically what we do here at the Private Money Syndicate. But lack of resources, Maestro, is the second thing. And this strategy I just gave is a way for you to make a list of all the resources as a positive activity first. Don't stop thinking after you think what you don't have. And don't think about what you do have. Just make a list of what all is going to take. And then go about the process of bringing those things to task. Does that make sense, Maestro?
Absolutely, absolutely. And it's all part of that visualization process, right? Because if you can visualize something that you want, and you may not, and to that point, you may not even know some of the elements that make up that, what it is that you're visualizing, right? So that puts you in a place to have faith and to trust in the process, right? To know that you're going to get to that point. And as you said, what can I focus on right now, here and now, that I do have that I can leverage towards moving towards getting that which I desire? And then from there, that the opportunities are opened up for you, and that's going to come through a lot of different channels, right? But right here, right now, if you're watching this is the universe speaking to you right now, saying you can contact us, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, there's a reason that is from a source grander than we can perceive that has brought us to this moment right now,
Right.
and put this message on my heart, because I am you in many cases. Now, before I go to the next one, we've all seen people who have succeeded greatly out of nothing. We've seen people who have,
Right.
weighed 300 pounds and, lost 150 and gone on to be stellar athletes, run triathlons. I mean, all of these were acts of will. I mean, functionally, we have the innate ability as human beings. In fact, this is something I was teaching an environmental science class, and this is something I came across in developing an assignment for my students. They say that man is the only creature that changes his environment to suit his needs versus adapting to the environment in order to survive. And so if we think of this as the creator's gift to us as human beings, from the standpoint we have the ability to imagine and
Right.
then create things. And what other, I mean, it's amazing to me. This is off the topic, but a bird is born from an egg. It hatches, flies off, and then next year it comes and builds a nest to, do its own, raises, and never takes a lesson on nest building. But somehow, like the creator has given that instinctive ability to pass down genetically through generations, and we take the biological course of evolution to be able to just know stuff. Now,
That's their nature. Yeah.
now compare that to just being able to come up with an idea and then go about making it. Just, I mean, that is crazy power, man. I'm telling you. And so what Maestro and I were talking about before we came onto the show is what we're after today is to unleash, like, unleash, an atomic explosion into the world with all these great ideas that you guys and people who have bottled up because of limiting elements. What's stopping them from starting?
Right.
And we want to be a catalyst to help bring all these wonderful ideas, opportunities, uh, products and services, all the things that, money goes into, that capital is a part of, which is just about everything. We want to be known as this day before Independence Day, of having freed minds, bodies, and spirits to go out here and just do amazing things in the world. That's what this is about. So, Maestro, anybody else chimed in, or any other
Yeah.
acknowledgements we need to make before we
Yeah.
go on to
So
number three?
so yeah, I'm gonna continue with those, and so that brings up an interesting point, because the brother Darnell Collins said the private money syndicate is the entrepreneur's one-stop shop solution, right? So that
Thank you,
goes to
Darnell.
what exactly what you was just saying. And then Satish VM Satman says, "Good morning, y'all. He's joining us again this morning." Marlon
Yes.
Davis says, "You sound like a visual learner." Satish VM Satman says, "I always feel more comfortable with the pen and paper. Got notebooks also, LOL, versus typing in a Word doc. Something about the creative and planning old school process." Right. Yeah. I mean, whatever works
Mhm.
for you, whatever works for you. Vic Calloway says, "Good morning. Happy 4th weekend." Absolutely.
Hey there, brother.
Cordelia Maupin says, "I started an online boutique with Poshmark. The selling is slow. In addition, I started doing work as a stylist. It's hard to set prices for services." And I would agree with that, but you have to, for me, the value is intrinsically connected to the service, right? So, you can do, it's almost like real estate, Tony. Like, I think you teach this in one of your classes, like, how you compare, the costs that may be around surrounding that particular service,
Hmm.
and if you're unclear as to how much you should charge. Now, does that mean you have to charge that it doesn't mean that you have to charge that price. It just means that now you have a clear understanding of what the market for that particular product or service is, and then from there you can decide, like, to you, is it does it take you as much time, or do you have the same cost and overhead that would allow you to have to charge that much, or can you charge less, right? And some of the other things that you want to consider. Yeah.
Yeah. And well, just to address pricing, uh, and everything Milt said is part of your pricing strategy. Fundamentally, though, is just like real estate. Something is worth what a willing, ready, and able buyer will pay. So now some people price in other words, people pay less than it costs them to make. Obviously, you can't stay in business that way. But one of the one of the simplest, I won't call it the best, one of the simplest strategies to determine what a price structure is simple. Look at other products similar to yours in the same sales channel, because see, it's different between, like, they're on online, you got all the different channels. And let me just use this for a 1 minute class. If Saks Fifth Avenue has a online store and Walmart has an online store, then you could put a pair of, you could, I don't know, just put a woman's dress, okay, same dress, on the Saks Fifth Avenue site, and only because it's on Saks Fifth Avenue would people pay 5 times more for it, okay? Because that's the contextual value proposition associated with that channel brand. All right, Walmart has a different channel brand, okay, and it has a contextual uh, environment that things are priced in. So, from the standpoint, to give you some idea, when you look, and I'm not familiar, I've heard of Poshmark, but I'm not familiar with it as a channel brand. Okay, we have Darnell Collins, who happens to be a branding expert. So, Darnell, if you want to put your name and number in the chat, Darnell's worked with Hugo Boss. Heck, I don't know. Anyway, Darnell, you're awesome. But he's one of our advisors. Put your number and your email in chat, and Cordelia, reach out to him. But let me finish the thought with Poshmark. So look at your products and see, in terms of inside of that channel. Uh, and again, you have to have 20/20 vision, not rose-colored glasses, but look and say, okay, what pricing do I see similar other products ranging? And you're going to have to kind of fit within that contextual space, because when people go to that channel and they're looking for products. And again, when I say similar, I don't know exactly what the product is. They're going to see yours and they're going to say, they're going to make value judgments based on similarities and differences and things like that. But the context of the channel is going to set some parameters on price. So that's off the topic, but a good question. I did want to address it because Cardelia will tell you I graduated high school because of her, and I thank you still to this very day, Cardelia. So there's your 2 minutes of fame, if nothing else. So I have told the world that you are the reason I graduated from high school. All right, what else we got out there, Maestro?
That's it. Well, she just responded, said this feedback is awesomeness. So she's thanking us for it. So yeah, definitely. And like you said, you got products and then you got services. Services, it's a little harder because again, it's not it's conceptualized, right? Because it's not necessarily something that's tangible that you can actually put your hands on that has a manufacturing cost, right? You can create your own type of metric, which would be, your time that it takes to do whatever task it is that you're providing as a service, right? Like as a stylist, you're doing hair or some other type of, cosmetology type of field, and so, with that being said, time is a big factor, right? How long it takes for you to do it. But then again, it might not be as big a factor because you may be faster than somebody down the road. So, and you might be doing the same thing. And so now it's the value of what the convenience value of that customer not having to do it themselves. So now you got all types of, you got other types of things when it comes to services that you have to consider as well.
Exactly.
She said, "Thank you for finally acknowledging that I ensured your graduation."
And I do so very proudly.
That's funny.
All right. The third fear. Now there are 2 parts of this one. Now fears. Now the first 2 were perspectives. Okay, perceptions of the decisions have to be made. In other words, I call it static. Just kind of clearing the deck so I can get some momentum going. Now we get to psychological impediment, and fear is the biggest barrier to all human achievement. You got all kind of philosophical quotes that we could, spend 2 hours just read them, just one after the next. But fundamentally, they say that and I believe this. I've had people, and I don't, they say that it's fear of failure and fear of ridicule. And so I'll start with ridicule first, because fundamentally, oftentimes people, it's not that they're afraid that they won't succeed. They're afraid to tell other people what their ideas are. Now, it's not absolutely necessary that you tell others what you are going to do. However, until you speak it into existence, in other words, they say if a tree falls in the forest and nobody hears it fall, didn't make a sound. Well, like, the folks in my Flip Money Not Houses coaching program, I tell them, I said, look, you got to start talking loud and crazy. You got to start telling everybody, man, I'm getting ready to build a real estate empire. You got to go out here and put it out there into the world. And one sense of that is to hold you accountable. But yes, there are going to be what we call haters or those who just don't believe that you can because of, where you came from or whatever, their perception of you is and your ability to accomplish this thing. But see, all I'm saying is ridicule is fundamentally people dashing water on your dreams. Now, the way to keep that from happening is to not tell anybody what your dreams are. All I'm saying is there is a very small number of people who go out there and do anything big that kept it all to themselves. They say action speaks louder than words, but I'm still saying that the word still needs to be put out there because if nobody knows what you're trying to do, in addition to can't ridicule you, nobody can help you. If nobody knows that you need help getting an A in this math class, then you probably gonna fail. Isn't that right, Cordelia? That's my situation. Okay. All right. So from the standpoint that, not only can no one ridicule you, but nobody can help you either. Right. So my point is that fear of ridicule is also keeping you away from some of the external resources that I say you need to summons into your reality, because you will be surprised, as have my real estate coaching students, that when you start telling folks who are in that space, many times you'll get help. You'll have people who are willing to support and assist you because you knew or something like that. Now think about this. If you want to ridicule somebody, imagine somebody say, I want to raise billions of dollars to go colonize Mars. I mean, I'm gonna put a colony on Mars. Okay. Well, Elon Musk for a
They
minute
did
was
it.
the richest man on earth because he's raised billions of dollars for
Yeah.
SpaceX and all this other kind of stuff because he was putting it out there. And yes, me too. I thought it was crazy, but I'm like, dang, come on now. I mean, I'm just saying. I mean, if it could work for him, why would you doubt that it could work for you? You've got to just believe in it. See, when you just be talking hot air, as Maestro and I was saying earlier, we're talking about something else about talking outside of your neck. Okay, yeah, that's one thing. And people can blow that off, but if you're serious, you got to be cemented in your belief about your ability to execute on your vision and your dream. And so, from the standpoint that fear of ridicule is really, I call that the bully test. Are you going to let other people bully you out of what you say you're going to do for your life?
Right.
You know, and so if you'll stand up to the ridicule boldly, proudly, and with full belief in your ability to do those things, you'll be surprised at how that melts. Because maybe they just want to see, do you believe it? They're testing you to see, do you believe what you're talking about? And like I said, the haters going to hate anyway. All right. But those who may become supporters, if they believe you, you've got to be able to show them that you've got the gumption to be able to go forward with that. Any thoughts, Maestro? Any comments from our audience?
Yeah. Now, so Charles Bowie says starting a goal is mental mindset changing. I had to start thinking like a business-minded entrepreneur and not a consumer. Right, exactly. So it's a different type of mindset, right? And to your point of what you were speaking about, like in the instance of SpaceX, right? Of course, if you look back into history, this is where looking back into history, is very useful and necessary. In history, all of the people who are changing paradigms are always looked at, whether it's in a religious sense, whether it's in an industrial sense, whether it's in a civic sense, in any area of life. Anytime they're introducing different ideas into the society, they are going to always be ridiculed. Now let's take that's on a very grand scale, but let's take that down to a very micro scale, right? Which is the self, which is you. So anytime you introduce a different paradigm for yourself, people are going to ridicule you because they don't either they don't want to take the risk themselves, and so they're speaking their fear out to you, or they don't want to see you rise up above them, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so either way, it's from a very negative place on their end, but your job is not to decide where it's coming from. Your job is to decide what it is that you want and to go for it. That's it. All the rest of it is just noise, as they say. We was talking about that too.
Mm-hmm.
It's just noise. I mean, it's really just people being people, and so you just got to kind of let them be people. But then, as you manifest, then all things will become clear. And then at that point, then you're gonna have some knocks on your door. Then people going. You're gonna have some long lost cousins that come around.
There you go. That's right. Everybody loves a winner.
Right.
All right, but all right. So we don't run out of time. Let me get to the next one. Fear of failure. Okay, now fear of failure, they say is the people say fear of public speaking is the people fear that greater than death is because they fear failure and ridicule. They fear that they're going to get up and say something silly. People want to laugh and stuff. Those kind of things. And I remember, because I guess I never had the fear of ridicule or failure, that as kids, now Milt, I'm a bit older than you, but we used to have these little 4-line Easter speeches, and it would just amaze me how some little kids would get up there and start crying. They start, get up there and not say anything, and it's like, okay, but I would practice and I would have mine down. It never seemed to be a problem. And so my point is, it's not hard to remember a 4-line Easter speech. It's not hard to do anything. If we've not done it before, it's It's no more hard for you than it is for the person who will do it. The only difference is somebody started trying to figure out how to do it. And then they went through the problem solving process. And as Maestro was just saying, the Wright brothers, I don't know how many times they crashed and burned before they flew. Now, I'm sure people were laughing at them, wondering what they were doing. Thomas Edison, I think it was 10,000 experiments before a brother created the light bulb. Now, that's the facts as I understand them now, but let's just go back with what's in the history books. 10,000, he said, I just discovered another way that does not create a light bulb. So from the standpoint, most of human progress has been through trial and error. So from the standpoint, failure is this process of learning. Okay. And how many things have we discovered that have been life-changing for the world, like penicillin? That was a failed experiment. You know, sometimes in trying to do one thing, you discover something else. My point is this: fear of failure holds people back because they don't see success in their visualization of the process. Now, all I'm saying is you got to imagine yourself, if you're a football player, in the end zone, because those opponents are going to be trying to, you know, keep you from scoring, regardless of what your team from scoring, regardless of what the position is. There is always going to be an obstacle or a series of obstacles between you and accomplishing what you set out to do. However, don't be afraid to confront those, because as an intelligent being, when you confront those situations, you'll be learning things. And that's something that Maestro and I were talking about that in some previous conversations, is that I start doing things not knowing all of what it's going to take. But as I venture into the unknown, I start learning and discovering. It's almost like that learning curve that starts off, let me get my hand, like this, starts flattening out as you get into an endeavor, because you start meeting people, exposing yourself to new information. And my Lord, with Google and YouTube, folks, it's not a lot you can't figure out how to do in terms of putting the pieces together. So again, fear of failure often means lack of preparation, as in my 4-line Easter speeches, lack of effort, which puts you out in the traffic, as I say, where things can start to, you know, random events can start to come to your aid. And because you're not speaking it out in the universe, you can't necessarily get other people who are willing to help you. And it bolsters your confidence as you start showing progress. When all you do is talk the talk and never step a step toward the walk, people going, yeah, they ain't paying you no attention. But as they see you start moving toward that success that you have envisioned as you talk about your progress, they got to take you seriously, because you're making progress. Okay. You haven't gotten there yet, but you're making progress. So fear of failure and fear of ridicule is the third one. Combining those two together are things that stop people from starting. So, Maestro, any new acknowledgments or comments before we go on? We got about 15 minutes. I want to go through these last three real quick.
Yeah. So I just wanted to add to what you were just saying, because you brought up Google, right? Because and this kind of ties into what we were just talking about. You know, if you have a fear of, you don't want to, you may not have all the details, but even if you do, you don't necessarily have to give all the details, but you definitely want to speak it into existence, like he's saying. And so, you know, with Google, right, they started off with the broad vision of taking the world's information and making it universally accessible. So what is Google today? It is just that. It is one of the number one search engines in the world that has all types of information. They expanded that into YouTube and all these other different platforms that does the same basic function of taking information and making it universally accessible to everyone. And so you may not know at this point the broadness of what you're speaking into existence, and that's okay. So you just speak it. You just say, okay, you know what? I just want for me, it started off as I just want to help people using technology. That's how it started with me. It was really that simple. And then as I've grown, I've you know, gone out into many different fields of technology. But that's all I wanted to add. And so Ebony is saying speak. She's in the church right now. She's in she's in the congregation.
Thank you.
Keith Holmes says, good morning, Godfather. Satish VM Satman says, and some of those people who face that fear of public speaking and have people laugh at them have become successful comedians. And yes, I would agree. Charles Boyd says, you two are speaking truth here today. In-house people will criticize a plan or goal faster than a stranger. It takes focusing on the end game to overlook the noise. And that's true, brother. That's very true. So true.
Amen.
Cordelia Marpin says, this is so encouraging. Good, good. We're so happy to hear that. Go ahead, though.
All right. Thank you. Thank you all. And again, we want to encourage everybody to go to privatemoneysyndicate.com and schedule a consultation. In fact, when you go on and go through the website, because this next thing I want to talk about is lack of supportive environment. Go to the About Us page on privatemoneysyndicate.com, and you'll see all of our advisors. And that is the supportive environment. When you look at the acumen and the resources that our entire team bring to bear on your dream. Okay, now we're talking about what stops you from starting, but see, that dream was the start. That dream was the spark. And now imagine a spark just in space. It just, that momentary flash, it just disappears. But now, if that spark ignites fuel, or let's just say you had some something. Let's say you're out in the, well, I was in the military, you learn how to make a fire with rocks and stuff like that. But you got to have some kind of kindling. You got to have something that spark can connect with and release the energy to create a fire with. So my point, going reflecting back on not speaking it into the world, that fear of ridicule, that's like a spark in the space. It just comes and goes. But now when you take that dream, contact privatemoneysyndicate.com, and you talk to me and you tell me what that dream is, we're going to talk to you about how we help you to get what you need. Maybe you need to get a 750 credit score or a 700 credit score. We're going to talk to you about how to get that. Maybe you need, matter of fact, Edwin Winton, who's here, he just sent me over where we got 2 people approved for $1,005,000 of funding. Another one for $705,000. I thought it was $750,000. That was $705,000 in funding. But that's $1.7 million of people saying, we believe that we can help you to accomplish your dream. Now, just imagine this now. Please take this dead seriously. You have a dream that, and the first thing you think of, man, that's going to take me $1 million. I don't have $1 million. And that spark died just that quick. It was that's flashing like fireworks tomorrow night. Okay. But now just imagine you call me and said, I've got this dream that's going to take me $1 million to do it. And I'm going to say, and you know why I say this? Because we make money by helping people accomplish their dreams. Now, what reason do I have not to help you? Can I get an amen? Okay. I mean, that's why, what's that, terre to resistance? Okay. That's why I'm here. Okay. So you tell us our dream. Now, does it require you to do something, to prepare to do? Yeah, but at least you got support. So lack of supportive environment, if you ain't talking to the people who could help you, who could support you, who and nothing else can, baby, I believe in you, baby. They might not know what you're talking about, but they're going to say something good to you. To get, it make you feel special, to make you want to keep moving forward. You need those kind of people in your world. And if that's not who you hang around, they say if you can't change the friends you're around, change the friends you're around. Okay. You got to get around people who want to see you succeed. And that's what we do here at the Private Money Syndicate. So please, please, please go to privatemoneysyndicate.com and tell us your dreams by scheduling a consultation laboriously. The maestro has put over 200 scheduling buttons on our website. You ain't got to look far. You got to move them out the way.
You got a whole scheduling system made up for you, just waiting on you.
That's just how bad we want to talk to you. Okay, I'm being comical, but it's true. Because there are dozens of people who have come to us that didn't think it was possible, and yes, it is. And so all I'm saying is, if it can happen to them, I'm promising you, we do this thing together, and it can happen to you too. It's not just money. It's go to privatemoneysyndicate.com and about us, and you see it's money and a whole lot more that we bring to help you with. So lack of a supportive environment is easy to fix if you change the people around you. And it's change the people around you I'm talking about. You ain't got to get rid of the old ones, just add the new ones that are going to help. All right, now the last 2 I want to lump together, and I have to give benefit or credit for these coming from Maestro Milt Walker, who, if you need to get your technology right, now, if you think you need a website, I'm promised that thought needs to go to the Maestro. So you can schedule a consultation. We'll get you in contact with him to help you.
We're going to manifest that for you. We're going to manifest that.
He will manifest that for you. That's right. We're going to help you to get your technology right. But negative self-talk and negative self-image. All right. So negative self-talk and negative self-image. I want to let Maestro take a couple of minutes and talk about those because those are right. I totally agree. And since those are your contributions, I'll let you share.
Yeah, and it ties back into, what you were saying about fear. When we let that fear settle into our, our thoughts, into our being, then it starts to come through as that negative self-image, right? You start to look at yourself like, maybe I'm not worthy, maybe it's not for me, maybe, all these different negative self-images and self-messages that you tell yourself or think to yourself, and then you start to talk about yourself in that way to other people. Oh, I would have done this, but da 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 da. Right? And it's always something that's keeping you. It's always something outside of yourself that's keeping you from doing what you want to do. Right? Which is,
Mhm.
if you just think about that statement, that's a contradiction within itself. Nothing can keep you from doing anything that you want to do but you, because you decide your own actions. And that's the bottom line physics of reality, right? We create our own reality by manifesting what it is we think into words, actions, and those become, as Tony says all the time, your behaviors and patterns, right? And then it runs through there, and depending on what momentum you have going, and whether I like to look at life as like a number line. Your zero is in the middle, where you're just kind of neutral, and then you got your positive side, and then you got your negative side, right? And so that momentum is constantly always going one side or the other. Either it's pulling you back towards your zero state or beyond
Mhm.
that, or it's taking you positive and creating the person that you want to become. So that negative self-image is what really is keeping you from being able to go. And like he said, one of the ways that you can combat that is by talking to people who believe in you, who believe in people, believe in the potential of people, right? I'm not gonna If you're telling me all the time that you can't do something, you're not gonna get that conversation from me. I'm
Mhm.
not gonna talk to you about you not being able to do something. I'm gonna talk to you about why it's possible for you to do it. And so
Right.
that's what you're gonna hear from me. So that's part of that's really what I wanted to share with them on that. Yeah.
Well, that's powerful, and I appreciate you sharing that. And now this last one is a kind of a compilation of all, but I would certainly say the points that Milt just brought up about the self-image and self-talk is you got to be willing to change. You got to be willing to change. Now, um, you know, this is not the Dr. Phil show, and
Right.
from the standpoint that I've probably done a mediocre job at best of trying to create the motivation. But if I can have you to just listen and digest this last willingness to change fundamentally, and it's interesting that my classmate Corday is a nuclear physicist, and like Newton's first law of physics, that a object at rest will remain at rest. Okay, and if
Unless
you just take
acted
that
upon by outside force. Yeah.
exactly, so from the standpoint, unless you exert some influence in your mind, body, and spirit to do something and become something different, you will remain exactly the same externally. Internally, you can have all the dialogue that you want. A lot of this stuff that we talked about today is to be sorted out internally. But from the
Right.
standpoint, we can read books, we can watch YouTube videos, we can get around different people, we can listen to sermons, we can listen to speeches. I mean, there are all these external factors that can help to be that positive that pushes us in the direction of change that we need to make in our life. Now, that is energy, but that energy needs to be channeled into some activity, and the specifics or what it is that you set out on your dream board or looking through magazines. If you see my stories on Facebook, I've always got these exotic cars and planes and villas and all that kind of stuff. I'm gonna chill like that one day, okay? But those are my goals, and there's a means to those ends. And I know that the best way for me to get there is to inspire other people to be on that journey with me. I want some other folks who want to hang out. What's that Jackie Chan say? I want you to come to my crib. I want to show you my hood. Okay.
Right. Right.
All
Right.
right. So from the standpoint
I just
that
watched all of those the other day too.
Yeah, and my friend Matthew Chan ever says this. He and I said we like what's his name, Chris Tucker and Jackie Chan. We're gonna make Rush
Right,
Hour
right,
4.
right,
But
right.
but back on a serious note, you gotta draw. You gotta infuse yourself with positive things that can help move. Read books about what you want to do, or people who've accomplished what you want to accomplish, or if you want to learn about real estate, read about real estate. Take some real estate courses. Buy some of those programs. I'm not currently enrolling people in our mentoring program, but talk to me about it. All I'm saying is, and if it's going into business, you're probably, unless nothing is new under the sun, it's a variation or evolution from something. I'm just saying some of the concept, the core bases of most everything has a real or has an origin in something that exists now. Connect with that and move forward with it in steps. Plan your work and work your plan. The Private Money Syndicate is here to support you, encourage you, give you reason. Now, if you just want to talk to me and babble and don't do nothing, I'm not the guy for you. But if you're ready to get busy and start doing something, even if we got to dig a hole to put down as the foundation and start building up, I'll grab a shovel with you. Okay. So all I'm saying is today, the 3rd of July, 2021, the day before Independence Day, is the day I want you to sit down with a pen and paper and write down what you want to accomplish in the next 6 months of this year. Because I'm telling you right now, the Private Money Syndicate, our 10,000 Dreams, when we launched that bad boy in September, look out, everybody. Because the folks who are ready, they say it's going to be caught up in the rapture. You got to be ready. And you need to start getting ready right now. Okay, because what we're going to do is going to be
Everybody
mind-boggling,
can't go.
life-changing. Say again.
Everybody can't go.
Life-changing.
Right.
And this is not, and this is something I just came up with. The team knows. I just sat down, 10,000. Okay. And so now we're pulling the resources together. I made a list of what all we need, and we're going to make it happen. And you can do exactly the same thing. So here's what I want to end with before I turn it over to Maestro, is I want you to go to privatemoneysyndicate.com and make sure that you schedule a time to tell us your dreams. If there's something big that you want to accomplish in life, there is nothing we can't do together. Okay. And if you're serious, I'm serious. And the other thing is we need you to go to the Private Money Godfather channel on YouTube and subscribe. Okay. I would love to wake up on July the 4th and see that we got 100 subscribers and growing. And I know for all of you all here, y'all ain't subscribers yet because I heard your names. I don't see you on the list. So take care of that. That's important to me. All right. And I want you to start right now doing one thing today that's going to move you through any of these impediments, and realize that you can start right now. Nothing stops you from starting once you decide that you're going to take that first step and keep on walking towards your goals and dreams. And with that, as I always say, if you're going to go in business and stay in business, you got to mind your business. I appreciate you. Have a happy, safe 4th of July. And Maestro, I'll let you take us on home.
That's right. Yeah. And I just want to say, definitely you can get in contact with me through the privatemoneysyndicate.com, but also, my website, everycloudalways.com. You can go there, and I just launched this past week a blog. So I do have a blog on there that I will be updating every couple weeks. I just posted the first blog post the day, and that's everycloudalways.com/blog. And then you'll be at the page. So definitely take a look at that. It's going to be a lot of interesting information about technology. And so that's where we're at. And thank you again thank you, Tony. Thank you all for joining us. And thank you for your support. And we're here to support you as well. And so we'll see you on the next one. Y'all take care and be safe.